if a smartphone were so smart, it could tell when a worksite was...
So I loved what you said, that when you know the formula, you go from results to results to results to results.
And what is the primary result?
Satisfaction, pleasure, joy.
That's such a key thing to know, because that's how you know you're on track.
Got it. Yes. So since last November, when I saw you in Asheville, I have been continually more in the receptive mode, and I get it. I can feel it in my body, and I am more in step 5, step 4, step 5, step 4. The question I have is, and it's more of a, you're going to help me answer the question before I can formulate it, but it is that everything is coming in, and I lived for 35 years in a place of, I was so far from the results. The gap was so vast.
You don't know that for sure, and it doesn't help to say that.
Okay.
Something that does help is that I was figuring it out as I was figuring it out. I was doing the best that I knew, and I might have been more in step 1 than I really wanted to be, but I created a wonderful vibrational reality. And so much that I am now benefiting from happened during that time. I'm appreciative of everything that I lived and what it accomplished. Can you feel how those thoughts are much more in harmony with the way your inner being looks at it? Your inner being feels no regret about anything you've ever lived, and when you do, you're off course.
Yes.
It's really an interesting thing. Your intention here was to talk about how good it is by talking about how bad it was.
Right.
That doesn't work, because while you're talking about how bad it was, you're not letting how good it is in. But we're just saying what we were talking about earlier today is expectation. And so we're not trying to stifle anything that you're saying. We just want you all to be aware of when you're communicating or thinking or focusing, from what expectation are you offering it? And this is the question that we've been asking you lately. You may have even heard it last time we were together, is under what influence am I? Am I under the influence of source, which is what meditation accomplishes? Or am I under the influence of things that went wrong or struggle that I lived? And so in this moment, while you're visiting with us, we're just asking you, under what influence are you as the words are formulating that you're giving to us? Are you under the influence of the problem, or are you under the influence of the solution? And we get it. This is a place where we solve problems, but we can't solve problems by pointing them out.
Okay. So starting again, from the place of the solution, it is so good. I don't have any plans. I have goals, but
my plans are in the process of being realized by me. I know my plans have been made because I believe my vortex is real. And I know that my inner being knows the path of least resistance from where I am to where I'm going. So I know that those plans are all in place. I'm looking forward to, on a pretty steady basis, being in the receptive mode where I can realize what those plans are. Can you feel the difference? Because that's the way your inner being tells that story. You feel a little lost. Your inner being knows you're not. Your words were about not knowing where to go exactly. In other words, your words demonstrated a feeling of insecurity. Did you hear it? Insecurity. Well, you can't stand in a place of insecurity and be in the receptive mode. So if you're standing in a place of insecurity, take a nap. Because anything that you receive is under the wrong influence. Does that make sense? Think about it. When you're in a bad mood, which of your friends do you think of to call, or which of them call you? What influence are you under? The law of attraction is always showing you what influence you're under. And so if you're under the influence of something other than source, you might want to take a nap or meditate or do some segment intending. That gets out ahead of it too. So we're happy to hear you.
So the piece is, when you get better at this, in my day, I feel in the receptive mode.
Often.
I feel real-time thoughts turning into things.
Yeah.
Often. Yesterday, several examples. Okay, so my hands are in the clay. Ding, ding. I feel it. And I am curious about what happens in this place when you have that much confidence and yet You're not shooting rockets.
Well, you're not watching the movie, you're trying to make the movie.
Got it.
And all that's happening, and we understand this, you want some separation between step 1 and step 3. Step 1 is you ask. Step 2 is source answers. It's all lined up. It's in the vibrational reality. It's in the vortex. Step 3 is you chill. You listen to the air conditioner. You get out ahead of it. You are as non-resistant as you can be much of the time. Then you get rid of that. That's step 4. And then step 5 is you're mostly feeling good. And sometimes you're exploring contrast. But the contrast isn't resistant in nature because it's just another question. Feel the difference between contrast, which is variety, and resistance, which is pushing against something. Feel the difference between contrast, which are choices, and resistance is talking about what you don't want rather than what you do want.
Okay. So it's just this subtle place of just allowing in more pleasure.
It's subtle until momentum parlays it into something not so subtle, like passion, or downright enthusiasm, or a grin on your face you can't get off. It's not that subtle. Alignment is not that subtle. You glow in the dark. Alignment is passion and enthusiasm and moment to moment ideas coming. It's question answer, question answer, question answer, question answer. It's things working out for you, and most of all it's, oh, I love my life. Man, did you see that happen? You can call that subtle.
Right. I have that a lot in my life. That is, it's just that there was so much contrast before that I live more in that space now. I just don't have big goals. I mean, I do, but I don't have, I don't know what the gigantic big step is, and I usually live my life.
That's because there's no gigantic big step. It's just the next logical step and the next logical step. And those words indicate, and it's all right, an impatience about getting from where you are to where you really want to be. What that says is, I really don't want to be over here, I want to be over there. Show me the gigantic big step. And meanwhile, your inner being knows you can't take a gigantic big step. That's a vibrational inaccuracy that would be devastating. What you want is the next logical step, the next logical step, the next logical step. But you want the next logical step for the fun of it, not because it's taking you to where you want to be. Can you feel this difference?
Yeah.
And so, what we want you to do, we're just going to ramble here for a little bit. We want to soothe and smooth some of the vibrational resistance that you've got going on. A lot of people do. So just hear this. So we're going to speak from your perspective. So I've lived a lot of life, and some of it I've enjoyed more than other pieces of it. And I'm really beginning to enjoy life more and more and more. And understanding the way the laws of the universe works are really helping me. But more important, understanding what my emotions mean. That's just the best, because I'm sensitive, and I can feel when I'm moving with no resistance and when I'm moving with resistance. I can feel when I'm headed toward what I want, that satisfying feeling and more. And I can feel when I've sort of picked up an old, practiced habit of thought. I can feel that. And more, I'm catching it earlier and earlier. I'm also understanding that waiting for the negative emotion to come and then wanting to overcome the thought, feeling the negative emotion and then wanting to overcome the thought, is tiresome and hard work, and while I can do it, there must be an easier way. And I get the sense that the easier way is getting out ahead of it before the negative thought comes, which means don't think so much and then try to correct my thought. Instead, meditate, bring myself to no thought, and then begin listening to the thought. Or, when I'm moving into a new segment, just stop and think, oh, this is a new segment, and then talk about how I want to feel as I'm moving into this new segment. I want to feel fun. I want to feel the harmony of the humanity of life. I want to notice lovely things in other people. It's so easy to just positively anticipate if you haven't been negatively anticipating just now. So make it easy for yourself. Meditate early in the day. Segment intend as best you can. And don't try so hard to make this about thinking. Let it be about receiving a thought. Now, let's chew about this. If a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, did it make a sound? No, it didn't. It didn't make a sound. Oh, it made a vibration, but there was no sound unless there was a mechanism, an eardrum, that could translate the vibration into something meaningful to the perceiver of the vibration. You get how that is? In the same way, when you are not thinking thoughts that separate you to some extent from the powerful mind that is really you, if you're not doing that thing you do, then you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And when you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, then those thoughts are flowing about everything that matters to you because you've lived life and you've let the universe know, you've let your inner being know. We all don't just know it. We are standing in the vibrational equivalency of it. We are experiencing the attraction of all the cooperative components in their vibrational form, which is so satisfying to us. But you are the one who's going to allow the vibrations to turn to things that you can then witness. But if you need to see the things before you acknowledge the vibration, then you don't get there, because when you look for the things that aren't things yet, then you get off on a wonky vibration that doesn't let you perceive the becoming of the things. Whew. And it's the becoming of the things that is so much fun. You are a creator wanting to create. You are also the creation, but it is the experience of becoming that is what life is all about. You're not ever going to get it done. You're not ever going to say, well, I did it and now I'm done. That's not ever going to be. So once you begin letting what you're reaching for be the process of becoming rather than the thing that has become, then everything starts to shift for you. So now we'll put it into your words. I like my feeling of becoming. I like the data that comes. I like feeling what influence I'm under. I like deliberately and consciously using my guidance system. I like knowing I'm tuned in, and then I like the impulses that come. I like following those impulses and watching them lead to something more and something more. I love to get on the thread of pleasurable unfolding. I adore watching the universe working things out for me. I can say that better. I adore being in the receiving mode of what the universe has already worked out for me. Oh, I'm so happy to give over the responsibility of it becoming. I realize I did that responsibility in step one. I did my work. Don't want that, must want that, don't want that. Yeah, I really want that, don't want that. Prefer this, prefer this, prefer this. I did that work. That work's been done. And others got in on it, and now it's becoming. And the same way, I don't have to lie in bed at night and focus upon the reproduction of the cells in my body. I'm surprised that here I still be. I don't lie in bed at night and focus upon the flow of the blood through my body. There's so much that is tended to at other levels of consciousness. I am so tended to. And now I'm beginning to accept that there is so much that is happening on my behalf that it is not my job to tend to, because I set it in motion. The universal forces are tending to it, and now it's my job to hear the tree fall in the forest. I'm going to take my ears wherever I go, and I'm going to realize what has already been revealed to me. It's being constantly revealed. I'm going to realize it. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to tune to the station that it's being broadcast on. You don't get in your vehicle and tune your radio dial to something that you don't want to hear. You tune it to something you do want to hear, don't you? Esther's got her fingers on those buttons all the time. Bunch of pre-programmed things. And she's listening to music. Oh, that could be better. That could be better. That could. There it is. That's just what I want right there. That's all. That's all. And can you feel that feeling that you had when you first sat down of, got to figure this out so that I can do it, has evolved to, I'm already doing it. I'm going to chill so that I can realize that I'm already doing it. I'm already doing it. No one's testing me. There's no possibility that everything I want isn't mine to have. There's no risk or chance here. I'm remembering when it felt like that, but I was operating under a whole other criteria. Now I know what's going on, and now I trust this process, and now I expect this process to yield to me evidence of my evolution in understanding. Yeah.